So let's see where you go.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. We'll start off at Yashayahu chapter 9 at verse 6. My pocket. Appreciate it. Yashayahu chapter 9 at verse 6. Listen to the Bible.
For unto us a child is born,
Yes.
unto us a son is given,
Yes.
and the government shall be upon his shoulder.
The rule shall be upon his shoulder.
And his name shall be called Wonderful,
His name shall be called Wonderful,
Counselor,
Counselor,
the mighty Elohim,
the mighty Al-Ahim,
the everlasting Father,
the everlasting Father,
the Prince of Peace.
the Prince of Peace, the ruler of peace. So if he had to be the ruler of peace, these things had to be exemplified or either shown from his Father. So we'll pick up Barashit chapter 1 at verse 1. Barashit chapter 1, we'll start at verse 1. I wrote a quick cricket. Barashit chapter 1, which is the book of Genesis, for those that's watching for the first time or in attendance. I can't spell Genesis, but there's the same spelling of the car. There's a car, and also there's a game system that's called Genesis. You might used to play Sonic Hedgehog on Genesis. The A, B, and C button. All right? Genesis.
In the beginning,
Yes.
Al-Ahim created the Shamayim and the Aritz.
He created the Shamayim and the Aritz. He created the heavens and the earth.
And the Aritz was without form
Yes.
and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
It was upon the face of the deep.
And the spirit of Al-Ahim moved upon the face of the waters.
Now the spirit, as we call it, the Ruach, it moved upon the face of the waters.
And Al-Ahim said,
Yes.
Let there be light, and there was light.
Yes.
And Al-Ahim saw the light, that it was good, and Al-Ahim divided the light from the darkness.
Yes.
And Al-Ahim called the light day.
And what he called the night.
The darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Yes.
And Al-Ahim said,
What did he say?
Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And Al-Ahim made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And Al-Ahim called the firmament Shamayim. And the evening and the morning were the second day.
Yes.
And Al-Ahim said, Let the waters under Shamayim be gathered together unto one place.
Yes.
And let the dry land appear. And it was so. And Al-Ahim called the dry land Aritz, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas, and Al-Ahim saw that it was good.
So our Father, he made the seas. And all in creation, by his word, these things came into existence. So if he made the waters by his word, he made the seas by his word, he also made the wind by his word. If you believe in his word and you have faith in his word, you won't be fearful, or you won't have any dread or different things like that. So over where he said he should be called the ruler of peace, over, and let's get Mark chapter 4. Chapter 4 we'll start at verse 32. The book of Mark chapter 4 at verse 32. Listen to the Bible.
But when it is sown, it groweth up and becometh greater than all herbs.
When we talking about seed, it was the sown is growing up to be the greatest of the earth,
and shooteth out great branches.
Yes.
So that the fowls of the air may lodge under the shadow of it. And with many such parables spake he the word unto them.
So even as fowls, they lodge up under this tree, we understand that the Mashiach, he was up on the tree as well. And we was up under the tree. We was under that choice vine. So over in the book of Zechariah, we don't got time to get it, but there was an example Well, everybody had to come dwell up under that same vine. So when he mentioned that, I thought about that as well. But go ahead, Andre, keep going.
And with many such parables spake he the word unto them,
Yes.
as they were able to hear it. But without a parable spake he not unto them. And when they were alone, he expounded all things to his disciples.
Yep.
And the same day, when the even was come,
When that even was come, what happened, Andre?
he said unto them, let us pass over unto the other side.
So now we're going to go to the other side. Go ahead.
And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship.
Yep.
And there were also with him other little ships.
So he was in the ship, and also they had little ships with him. Go ahead, Andre.
And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full.
So now, while he was in the ship, the winds started to beat upon the ship. Also, the waters started to be confused. That will take us to an olive bed, which is the mem. Anybody know what the mem means? It means waters, but also it means flood or chaos. I think I spelled that right. Flood or chaos, or water or confusion. Anytime that you want to be defeated, or anytime you come to a point to where things get in tribulation, chaos comes. In war, anytime that you have a lot of noise, a lot of people lose fight. They lose focus. They stop believing in certain things. They forget what they was trained. They forget what they was taught. So the people that were with Yahusha, when chaos came, or as we say in Ephesians, when the tribulation came, the faith go away. So in this situation, we'll see a prime example on what people do under the pressure of flood or chaos. Go ahead, Andre.
And he was in the hinder part of the ship.
He was in the hinder part of the ship,
asleep on a pillow. And they awake him and say unto him,
what did he say?
Master, carest thou not that we perish?
So master, that was to say a ruler or somebody that we have confidence in, or we can say, Prince of Peace, do you care that we perish? We come in situations where we ask our Father, we question the Most High, do you care that I'm in this situation or chaos? But in chaos, we can see where your faith shall lie. Go ahead, Andre.
And he arose and rebuked the wind.
Yep. So he arose and he rebuked the same wind that in existence, which he created, even the winds that he created. Go ahead, Andre.
And said unto the sea,
what did he say?
Peace, be still.
So now he took the same chaos and he said, peace, be still. Go ahead, Andre.
And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm.
Yep.
And he said unto them, why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith?
Yep.
And they feared exceedingly and said one to another, what manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?
So we understand. We understand right here. It says, why? Read that again, Andre. It said, why are ye so what?
Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith?
Yep.
And they feared exceedingly and said one to another,
Yep.
what manner of man is this?
That what?
Even the wind and the sea obey him.
Give me the book of Yunah. That's Jonah. Chapter 1. We'll start at verse 4. Anybody know what Yonah means? It means dove. Dove or warrant. Yonah, chapter 1, we'll start at verse 5. Listen to the Bible.
Then the mariners were afraid and cried every man unto...
Give me at verse 1 so we can see what was going on at that time and who he was talking to. This is Yonah chapter 1 at verse 1. Listen to the Bible.
Now the word of Yahuwah came unto Yonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me.
Yep.
But Yonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of Yahuwah, and went down to Jaffa, and he found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of Yahuwah. But Yahuwah sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken.
So that same wind that happened before, it had to happen one time before in the scriptures. So you can get a little confirmation. Go ahead, Brother DeVal.
Then the mariners were afraid and cried every man unto his God.
What did he say?
And cast forth the wares that were in the ship into the sea, to lighten it of them. But Yonah was gone down into the sides of the ship, and he lay and was fast asleep.
So he was down in the ship, and also was Yahusha down in the ship, not worrying about what was going on. But when things are going wrong around you, when chaos starts to arise, every man's work will be tried to see what do you believe in. Go ahead, Brother DeVal.
So the shipmaster came to him and said unto him, What meanest thou, O sleeper?
Why are you so calm? What's your problem? The same thing they asked Yahusha. Do you care that we perish? Go ahead, Andre. Go ahead, Brother DeVal.
Arise, call upon thy God, if so be that God will think upon us that we perish not.
Now we know whosoever shall call upon the name of who? Of Yahuwah, they shall be saved. Now, you had to believe that because the word said it. That's why over in Yonah, that's why he said you need to call upon your God, because whoever God answer, of course, that's who's going to be delivered by. So in trouble, where do we lie, or where do we find our solace or our comfort at? Is it in the Almighty? Is it in Yahuwah? That's why we can truly understand whosoever shall call upon the name of Yahuwah, they shall be saved. But then again, they said, how should they call upon him on who what? They not heard. But it had to first start with a belief. Yahusha, he always knew about a belief. He always knew that it always gonna work out. But us, a lot of times we begin to faint in chaos. We hear the word and then it's gone immediate away. Brother Brandon, you jump over and give me the book of Luke, chapter 8 at verse 32, and I'll get out your way. I'll buy out your way. The book of Luke, chapter 8 at verse 32. Listen to the Bible.
And there was there an herd of many swine feeding on the mountain.
This is Luke 8.
8
Luke
and
8,
32.
32? Go ahead, Brandon.
And there was there an herd of many swine feeding on the mountain, and they besought him that he would suffer them to enter into them.
I'm sorry. Give me Luke 8 and 6. Luke chapter 8 at verse 6. Listen to the Bible.
And some fell upon a rock, and as soon as it was sprung up, it withered away because it lacked moisture.
Yep.
And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up with it and choked it. And other fell on good ground and sprang up and bare fruit an hundredfold. And when he had said these things, he cried.
What'd he say?
He that hath ears to hear,
let him
hear. And his disciples asked him, saying, What might this parable be? And he said, Unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of Elohim, but to others in parables, that seeing they might not see, and hearing they might not understand. Now the parable is this. The seed is the word of Elohim.
Now the seed is the word. That's what we get. We get the word. We get confident in the scripture on what we believe. Now that's the seed. The seed is the word. Go ahead. The same seed that was even the faith of a mustard seed. Mustard seed is considered the smallest seed among seeds, but yet it grows as a tall tree. Go ahead, Brother Brandon.
Those by the wayside are they that hear. Then cometh the adversary, and taketh away the word out of their hearts.
So then cometh the sod and take away the word out of the heart. The only way a lot of things you can get took away if you get chaos. When chaos comes, you end up losing your mind. And whatever word that you heard end up being gone away. What does it have to do with anything? What does it have to do with believing or anything with salvation? Whosoever shall call upon the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. Go ahead, Brandon.
Lest they should believe and be saved.
That's the reason. Once the word get into you, only reason the sod has to come, only reason the adversary have to come, only reason chaos have to come, because if you believe in what you've been taught, you got to be saved. You got to be saved. And in the day of adversity, we had a situation to where Yahusha had to die. When Yahusha died, he still had two malefactors with him. In the midst of dying, what did one of the malefactors say? Give me verse Give me Luke chapter 23. Now I come down for Luke chapter 23 at verse 32. There. Ephesians chapter 30. Amen. Go ahead. Luke chapter 23 at verse 32.
And there were also 2 other malefactors led with him to be put to death.
Yep.
And when they were come to the place which is called Calvary, there they crucified him and the malefactors, one on the right hand and the other on the left.
Yep.
Then said Yahusha, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Then said Yahusha, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Go ahead.
And they parted his raiment and cast lots. And the people stood beholding.
How many people can forgive somebody that they finna kill you? You finna get ready to get persecuted. A lot of people can't do that. Somebody finna get killed, get persecuted, you gotta hang it up. But go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead, Andre.
And the rulers also with them derided him, saying,
what?
He saved others. Let him save himself.
He saved others, but himself he can't save. Go ahead, Andre.
If he be the Mashiach, the chosen of Elohim.
Yes.
And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him and offering him vinegar.
Yep.
And saying, If thou be the Malak of the Yahudim, save thyself.
Yep.
And a superscription also was written over him in the letters of Greek and Latin and Hebrew.
Yep.
This is the Malak of the Yahudim. And one of the malefactors which were hanged railed on him.
One of the malefactors, or in other words, one of his people that was with him, that was crucified with him, what did he say?
Saying, If thou be the Mashiach, save thyself and us.
Save yourself and save us. Master, do you care that we perish? Do you care that we perish? In order for me to believe you, save me and then I'll believe in you. But if that person had the word and heard, even though he didn't die that day, he still had the opportunity to be saved or delivered. But in this same situation, he asked, basically, do you care that we perish? If you be the one, save yourself and also save me. But he had a will, he had a purpose. Even in the midst of chaos, him about to die, he still stayed the course. And before he said that, he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Can anybody give me somebody else who gave forgiveness before they died, or that prayed? Stephen, and who else? There you go. Ehud. Give me the book of Ehud chapter 42 at verse 12. And brother, and you end off at Ephesians chapter 3 at verse 13. No. All right. 10-4. And anybody know what this means? Persecuted. This is the book of Ehud, chapter 42 at verse 12. Listen to the Bible.
So Yahuwah blessed the latter end of Ehud more than his beginning.
Give me at verse 10. Go ahead, Brother Brandon.
And Yahuwah turned the captivity of Ehud when he prayed for his friends. Also, Yahuwah gave Ehud twice as much as he had before.
So that's when Ehud got blessed, after he prayed for the same friends that persecuted him. The same way Yahusha had to do. Yahusha had to say, forgive them, for they know not what they do, in order for his friends to be saved, to be delivered. Even if in the scriptures it says, I got these wounds in the house of what? My friends. So, if nothing else, through salvation, in the midst of chaos, in the midst of the sod being there, in the midst of adversity, you still got to stay the course. You still, no matter how much chaos comes, you still got to stay the course, even as Yahusha have showed us. And I hope that was a little knowledge or information. Thank you.
I don't need the mic. I got the mic. Y'all on that side. Whew. Woe is me. Y'all all right? Okay. That was tough. That was tough.